If you spend any amount of time in twin flame content online, you start to notice some patterns. There are readings promising specific reunion dates. There are creators claiming to channel messages from your person. There are frameworks that make the journey sound like a guaranteed romantic outcome. Like you just need enough inner work and enough faith and it all works out. I want to talk about what the twin flame journey actually is versus what gets sold as the twin flame journey, because the difference matters. And most people are deep in the experience before they realize they have been handed a map that doesn't match the territory. First, let me say what I believe the experience is. I believe some connections activate something in a person that ordinary relationships don't reach. The intensity is different. The self-awareness it creates is different. The way it surfaces old wounds and unresolved patterns is different. Whatever you call that, the experience is real. I've lived it. Millions of people have described it. It's not nothing. But the framework that's been built around that experience in popular culture, that's a different conversation. The modern twin flame framework has specific stages: runner and chaser roles, guaranteed reunion, soul contracts, and divine timing. That's a relatively recent construction. The idea of a soul divided into two counterparts traces back to ancient texts. Plato wrote about it. Eastern philosophy touched on similar ideas, but those were symbolic teachings about wholeness, about integration, about the longing that's part of being human. They were not instruction manuals for how to wait for a specific person to come back. The commercialization of that framework is worth being honest about. There is a significant industry built around twin flame content: readings, courses, coaching, channels that pump out daily channeled messages from your divine counterpart. And some of what that industry does is genuinely harmful. It creates and feeds dependency. It tells people that healing is incomplete until reunion happens. It gives the other person enormous power over your peace. It keeps people in a holding pattern for years, sometimes decades, waiting for an external event to confirm something that can only be found internally. That's the part I push back on, not the experience, the framework that monetizes the experience by selling certainty. Here's what I actually believe the twin flame journey is for. It's not for reunion, or at least reunion isn't the point. The point is transformation. The point is becoming more honest, more whole, more self-aware than you were before the connection arrived. The point is facing the wounds the connection surfaces and actually doing something with them, rather than using spiritual language to avoid them. If reunion happens at the end of that, wonderful. But reunion without the internal work is just the same dynamic in a new season. The spiritual and psychological views of this experience don't have to be in conflict. Spirituality often answers, why does this feel like more than ordinary love? Psychology often answers, what is happening inside me when it feels that way? Both questions are worth asking. Neither one cancels the other out. What I want for anyone watching this is discernment, not cynicism. Discernment, the ability to hold the experience with genuine respect for how real it is, while also being honest about when the frameworks you're using are serving your growth and when they're serving your avoidance. A few things worth looking at honestly. If the guidance you're consuming makes you feel more dependent on external answers and less trusting of your own knowing, that's a signal. If a reading or a coach or a framework makes you feel like your healing is contingent on someone else's choices, that's a signal. If you find yourself organizing your day around decoding signs rather than building your actual life, that's a signal. The twin flame journey at its best makes you more yourself. It opens doors inside you that you'd stopped looking for. It asks you to face things that were easier to avoid. And it leaves you more capable of real love than you were before it started, regardless of the external outcome. That's what it is, not a guarantee, not a destiny, not a script you follow until reunion happens. A catalyst, one that only works if you're willing to do the internal work it's pointing you toward. That's the version of this journey worth being on.